Hey there, Husky fans. Welcome to another edition of NIU Weekly. I'm Terry Bonadonna. I'm your host, as always, and I'm happy to be here with you during an exciting period of NIU athletics. The fall season is in full swing. We are, of course, going to talk a lot about football today, but a lot of other sports in action right now, volleyball, soccer. All of them are going to be at home over the course of the next week. So we'll talk about that on today's NIU Weekly a little bit later on. Golf is in full swing as well. And I'm very excited as well. We're going to be talking to Kathryn Gleason on today's show. Coach Gleason is in year number 2 as the head of the softball team. And we're going to talk to her a little bit later about some of the successes from last season, a big trip to the MAC tournament. We're going to be previewing this upcoming season as well. And of course, right now, they're in the middle of their fall schedule. So a lot to talk in terms of softball. We're going to get into football quite a bit as well. Thomas Hammock is with me as usual in just a couple of minutes. The Huskies football team had a disappointing loss at Mississippi State, but a good experience playing in front of a hostile crowd in SEC country and a really competitive game for 3/4. Mississippi State did pull away a little bit in the fourth. But that was a fun one down in Starkville. So we'll be reliving that a little bit with Coach Hammock. Before we get to him, though, let's talk about what's coming up for the NIU football team, because finally they're back home after a couple of road games and a bye week. It'll be the first home game in 4 weeks this Saturday as the Aztecs of San Diego State are in town. That's a 2:30 start time for that game this Saturday, September 27th. Tickets are available. You can get your tickets by going to niuhuskies.com/tickets. Simple enough. niuhuskies.com/tickets. You can also call 815-753-PACK. That's 815-753-7225. And of course, we've got back-to-back home games coming up. San Diego State this Saturday, and then the following week, start of MAC play. It's the homecoming game against Miami. So that'll be a lot of fun as well. September 27th, October 4th, both of those home games, and both of them are officially 2:30 start times. Start times are set for those ones. So 2:30 kickoffs against San Diego State this Saturday and Miami next Saturday. All right, housekeeping is done. Let's get down to the nuts and bolts about what's been going on and what's coming up with NIU football as we welcome in our first guest today. Happy now to be joined by the venerable head coach of the Huskies football team, Thomas Hammock. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Good, good. Thanks for stopping by NIU Weekly once again. I want to talk about the game against Mississippi State over the weekend. There was a lot of positives to come out of that game. Certainly the first half, very competitive game against a very tough SEC opponent. Great atmosphere at the game. Looking back on last weekend against Mississippi State, what are your overall thoughts?
Well, I think, as a team, I think we're getting better. We have to be able to put two halves together. I think we went out there and we executed early in the game. We knew that Mississippi State was a fast-starting football team, so we decided to take the ball. And then we had an opportunity to go out there and score points early. I thought our defense was able to, minimize explosive plays early. We got to the half 14-10, and then, a play here or a play there that goes a little bit different in the second half, and obviously we'll be in a different ball game. So we got to learn from that. And I think the biggest thing is, we got a lot of young guys that are growing up very, very quickly. We're battle tested. We got 2 losses to 2 teams that are 4-0. And our guys are, competing extremely hard. And I think that's going to serve us well for the rest of the season.
When you look at the level of athleticism that a team like Mississippi State has, being able to play in a game like that, how much does that help those young guys prepare for the conference schedule?
No, they were extremely fast. We knew that going into it. So we changed some things up defensively to try to offset that. Obviously, if you try to offset something in the passing game, that makes you a little bit weaker in the running game. And so, they were able to run the ball a little bit more than what we wanted. So it's kind of pick your poison. But we were able to at least minimize the passing game as best as possible. And so we added some things to our toolbox that we can continue to tweak as the season goes along that I think will help us in the long run.
Let's look at some of the defensive players who have been standouts so far this season. And, at the top of the list is Quinn Erweiler, who's had double-digit tackles now, 3 straight games, had 14 tackles against Mississippi State the other day. What have you seen from him that's led to his improvement, number one, from last year and his ability to lead this defense?
Well, I think he's a guy that, he was very confident in his abilities from day one. He came into my office a year ago about this time and asked to redshirt. And, that kind of threw me off guard because he was an outstanding special teams player for us, but he had tremendous confidence in his ability. And, what you see from him is a guy that's playing downhill. But also, that's a testament to our defensive linemen. Our defensive linemen are playing strong up front, which is allowing our linebackers to play downhill and to play free and have the ability to make plays. And I think Quinn is benefiting from the way our defensive line is playing.
Well, let's talk about that line as well. Of course, Roy Williams and Jelani Williams are back and looking good from last season, and a couple of these new guys are stepping in. And it feels like you're starting to develop good consistency on that line. You're able to get to the quarterback a couple of times in this last game against Mississippi State. How have you seen them gel over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think we got guys, really making strides on the defensive line. I want to give a lot of credit to our defensive line coaches. Coach Moore, he heads up the defensive line. Coach Robinson coaches our D tackles. Those guys are doing a phenomenal job with the D line. They are playing more sound, more disciplined. We have some guys in the crock pot that are developing that'll be ready the second half of the season and heading into next year that we feel like give us tremendous depth on the defensive line. At a program like this, you have to be extremely good on the offensive line and defensive line. And those two positions I feel very, very good about in the future.
Let's transition to talking about the offense a little bit. Obviously, you haven't scored as many points as you'd like early in the season, but if we look back against Mississippi State, certainly in the first half, you were moving the football really well. A couple of nice scoring drives in that first half as well. What have you seen from the offense that you like so far?
Well, I think number one, it starts at up front. Our offensive line is playing tremendously well together. Coach Meadows is doing a phenomenal job with that unit. You talk about, four new starters up front. Last week, three of those starters were walk-ons. Another starter was a Division II player, and then Evan Malcor. And the way I look at it, I know there's a sack on the stat sheet, but really, we had a quarterback run out of bounds, and that was a sack. So we didn't have any pressures last week. They blocked well in the run game. That group is tremendously well coached by Coach Meadows. They starting to play well together. They giving us a chance to be what we want on offense. I thought the quarterback played better last week. And then in the second half, we had a couple opportunities where we can, you hit a deep shot, you connect on the play, you score a touchdown, then you create some momentum, a play here or a play there. And that changes, how you play in the second half and changes how you play on offense. So we're getting a lot closer than what we've been, and I'm excited about, where we can go.
You talk about the offensive line play, and one of the things that amazes me is, we spent so much time last year talking about how experienced that offensive line was. They were all veterans. They had worked together. And when you talk about that line up front, it's one thing to have talent, but a lot of times those guys don't gel together until they've worked together for a long time. It feels like this year's group has gotten very far in just the span of 3 weeks. What do you credit that to?
Yeah, I credit that to coaching. We are a program that can, number one, evaluate talent, but number two, develop that talent and coach that talent. And I think that's a great testament to Coach Meadows. He's done a phenomenal job, with that unit and got those guys playing at a tremendously high level. And for us, it starts up front, and I think we can continue to make progress as the season goes along because of the development of our offensive line.
Looking at the skill position players, one of the guys that jumped out to me this past week is Diari Rogers, who had 6 catches, 84 yards, and a touchdown. It feels like he's really stepped up and become, if not the go-to target, then certainly one of the top targets for Josh Holst. What have you seen from him?
Yeah, he was a guy that, we knew going into the season, he would be a guy that would make a huge contribution for our offense. He's delivered. We feel like Gary Givens can do the same thing. His opportunities hasn't come yet, but they will. And we will continue to get better on offense. And I think, we will continue to be able to have great balance. Our quarterback is gaining more and more confidence as the weeks go along. And I think the better he plays, the better everybody else around him will continue to get better.
You got another tough non-conference opponent coming in this week, San Diego State, coming off of a big win. What are your early impressions on them?
Very good team, well coached, good in all three phases. We know we have a tremendous matchup, but again, we played two really good teams the past 2 weeks. So this is just another test for the third week in a row, and see if we can improve and give ourselves a chance to go win.
It's crazy. It's been almost a month at this point since the last game at home. How does it feel to be back in front of the home crowd this week?
Well, number one, I hope it's a tremendous atmosphere. I hope they're loud. Home crowd makes a difference. It brings excitement. Obviously, playing last week at Mississippi State, show what a home crowd can do to a game, how it can impact the game. We spent the whole week trying to prepare for that atmosphere, and then you get down there, you realize, okay, this is what it looks like. And so we can create that atmosphere at Huskie Stadium. That will give our team a lot of energy and juice to go out there and perform at a high level.
Coach Thomas Hammock, always a pleasure to talk to you on NIU Weekly. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, and go Huskies.
Time to welcome in our next guest on this week's episode of NIU Weekly, second-year softball coach, Kathryn Gleason. Coach, welcome to NIU Weekly.
Thanks for having me. It's good to see you.
It is, as I mentioned, year number 2 for you at NIU. What's the difference been between this year and last year now that you're a little bit more settled?
Oh, just knowing the surroundings, knowing the kids, knowing the lay of the land, just more comfortable. I know how to who to go to, and if I need something, it's just I think the kids are the biggest thing. I came in and I had to learn 24 new people. They had to learn one person. So I think that's been the biggest adjustment is ease this year.
In my years as a substitute high school teacher, I found that sometimes the 24 of them didn't want to get to know the one person. So you probably have a little bit easier than that. You had a very successful first season at NIU, made it to the MAC tournament down in Akron. A lot of accolades individually, which we'll talk about a little bit later as well. But what were your overall impressions on your first year with the Huskies?
Well, just coming in, this is my third school to come in and take over a program, and you never know. You never know the makeup of the team. And from day one, they have been willing to listen, been willing to, set new goals and think about what we want to do moving forward. And that's what I talked about, just moving forward and everything we do. So I told them there's a space on my shelf for the MAC championship trophy, and it's going to stay there until we get that MAC championship trophy there. So they're great kids. They work hard. They come every day to practice. They're there early, and once that clock hits 3:30, they're ready to go. They're just workers. They're workers. And so that it made it a lot easier for me, starting the year last year, that this is the way we're going to do it. And we're going to do it with positivity and energy and music at practice. We're just going to get to work and be focused on what we're doing, but we're going to have fun doing it. And we're going to encourage each other and have joy for each other's successes.
You've had a lot of experience coaching elsewhere. You've had a lot of success coaching elsewhere as well. But you come in to NIU, there's a lot of veteran talent on this team. There's a lot of veteran talent last year, and a lot of it is back again this season. Has that made things any easier for you to establish your culture here, knowing that there were already a lot of athletes in place who could help you establish that?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Year 2 for sure. And, what I told them in our first team meeting last year was, if you allow me to be me, I want you to be you, so, you have some kids who are goofy and some kids who are loud and some kids who are quiet, lead more with their presence and by example. And, it took a few weeks, because, I might blare Michael Jackson in the background as we're practicing. And so they learned me. And, it is a veteran team, and Madison Matthews, with her big bat, losing that, and just her presence on the field with us, and Bree and Casey and Avery were all huge contributors. And I think the biggest thing this year is teaching them that, yes, we lost 4, but we gained 7, and just how everybody intermixes and everybody plays a different role. And so we're still trying to figure that out, and I have to remember it's September 23rd, 22nd, and that it's going to take time. And so I have to remind myself that as a coach, even in all my years of coaching, and then I have to remind them of that we had that and we established that culture, and it's the same underlying themes for sure. But how do we integrate that with the new team, the 25, 26 team, and incorporate those freshmen in? So some freshmen get a little quicker than others, and some are still going around, and it's great to go to practice every day. And, one of my freshmen yesterday, she's like, wow, I just feel so much stronger doing it that way. And I'm like, yep, you just got to be patient. I always tell them you have to be patient with your own rate of success.
New coaching staff this year. You brought in Jordan Taylor and Bree Pasquale. What can you tell us about them?
Oh, they're great. Jordan, have known for a really long time. We both played at Michigan. She's much younger than me, but the thing about Jordan and my connection with her is that we both wore the number 7 at Michigan, and the coaching staff there does a great job of keeping the alumni connected. So having that same number 7, I've known who's worn it since I did and before my time, and so they have us write letters, to those who wear the number. So we've always had that connection. And then when I hired her at Boston University, and she was with me for 3 years while still playing pro ball, and won a championship with her in 2014. So it's just so nice to have somebody that and is a comfort, and they know what to expect from you, you know what to expect from them. And she's really raising the level with our pitchers, the standards, and throwing in some new pitches with them. And she's been great. And then Bree, I've kind of known since from the travel ball world, when she was coaching travel ball. And, even when I'm recruiting, I love a good blue collar Chicago kid, whether it's the suburbs or the city of Chicago. And that's Bree. She's a worker. She's a worker. She's a fundamental teacher. And, on offense, she's in charge of our offense and then helps with our defense as well. And just a worker too. And she's a bright light. And, we come every day. We enjoy spending time with each other, and we're all positive and energy. And so I think it's just a good mix right now.
That's amazing, your connection with Jordan Taylor. If I had only known, I could be so much further in life if I had just worn a different number at some point.
Yeah, that's right.
Or
And the
been
funny
further.
thing is that Coach Jordan Taylor coached Bree for 1 year at Loyola. So we have all that connection. And then what we realized through our conversations is that Bree wore the number 7 too. So triple sevens.
Everything comes together.
Yes. Yeah.
We're talking about the newcomers on the coaching staff. You've got a lot of really strong returning talent, 3 all-conference performers returning to the team as far as the playing side goes. What are you most excited about some of those returners?
Well, getting everybody healthy. We've fought through some injuries last year. And so getting people healthy on the field. And, it's always great to have the returners come back and be ready and hungry to play another year. Because when we finished last year, they were, Coach, we don't want this to be over. Like, we're ready to play some more, and frustrating way to end when you're up 3-0, in a game and can't finish it. So they're hungry. I think they realize the pace of what we're doing and how we don't have to be the team in September that we want to be in May. So, for Lily and Castle and Dee Stewart to be back on the mound for us, and Maddie Carlson, to have Maddie Carlson and Jenna Turner back is such a blessing. They came back because of the junior college role. They would have graduated last year, but because they had played that junior college and that they were graduating. So it's been so great to have them both back. Jenna, the leader on the infield and on the team, and then just another arm in the circle for Maddie. And she's been making great progress. All of the pitchers with Coach Taylor, and Alana Powell's back at shortstop, and Mia Murra. I mean, she played most of defensively at third base, and then you got Katie Ramage up the middle, strong. Look for her to step up in the middle of the lineup for us, strong arm in center field. And then Riley Hartman behind the plate, sharing time with Trinity. So it's nice. And it's so nice to practice. And when I call the freshmen to go to a defensive position, I always tell the veteran, stay there, and talk to them. And this is what we're doing, and this is how we're playing this, and this is how we set up. So it's been great. They've been doing a great job mentoring the young people.
You do have a lot of young people on the team, 7 freshmen currently on the roster. What can you tell us about some of the newcomers?
Well, the first time they go hit, with on the field, I just love, or they throw, I love to see the veterans see them because they've never seen them before. So to hit and to, play defense, they're like, whoa, they can play. So Ava Falcone and Izzy Hannah will be in the outfield with us. Aubriella Garza, comes from Oswego High School, coming off a state championship, and she's got a hot bat. She can swing the ball, swing the bat, and play third base. So she also pitches a little bit, but we're kind of focusing more on her defense and offense right now. El Glass coming from St. Louis, as a pitcher. And then Tatum Cornfeed is coming back from an injury, but she'll be a presence behind the plate and anywhere else we need her. And I don't know if I hit all of them. But there's Jamie Sarin, who's a first baseman, lefty who can crush the ball. We did a little game yesterday, and she hit off Coach Taylor and hit it over the fence. So she's got some power in her bat. So really excited. They've come in ready to work, and again, it's always the pace of the game that shocks them and how fast it is.
Well, they're going to get a chance very soon to see some Division I competition, and you've got some exhibitions coming up against several different levels of competition. But what do you most hope to achieve out of the fall season?
Well, we got to play 2 weeks ago on Friday night, September 12th, which was nice. I was a little nervous because we had only had 18 practices. You got to get your first and thirds and your cutoffs and relays and things. I was a little nervous, but it was actually great to put them in the environment that we've been practicing in and just play and to learn, again, the pace of the game and just to learn how the game's played here and how we play at NIU and what our pregame is and during the game. So that was great. And now we've had 2 weeks to prepare for, Parkland Community College this weekend, and also Northwestern's coming to town on Sunday. So we're excited about that. They're doing some renovations at their field. So they're able to come down and play us. So that'll be a big game and great for us to play some Division I opponents. But just to see, we're the freshmen, or like I said, we have some new people and we've had some injuries that keep a couple people out in the fall. So giving other people a chance to say, okay, here's your opportunity. Show me what you have. So, and again, we're forming as a team day by day. So, and game day is the best day.
The fall season is a little bit of a tease sometimes because you get a chance to see the team out there. They get an opportunity to play against some solid college competition. And then all of a sudden the weather turns cold. You got a few months before you really get into the nitty gritty of the season. But what do you need to see, do you think, from this team over the next couple of weeks to make you feel like they're on track to be ready to go?
I think just sticking to the fundamentals and what we're doing. We can see the progress as we go, but sticking to the fundamentals and then playing as a team. We're lucky that we've had great weather this fall. We have an incredible field at Marybell Field. Our grounds crew guy takes incredible care of it, and our team takes incredible care of it. So just seeing them play as a team, the cuts and relays, the first and thirds, the steal defense, just playing really strong defense because we played Triton College 2 weeks ago and they put the ball in play. And for us to step up and to really put into motion what we've been working on. And our whole philosophy is next. Whether you hit a home run, next. Whether you put a sack bunt down or you make an error, next. The pitcher gives up a hit, next. We're always moving forward. So having them put that into play, even though we talk about it in practice and we practice it, now putting it in the games. And, going into the winter is my least favorite time because they're not all together. We go into our individual season, non-championship season, 8 hours, and I don't get to see them all the time. So this is my favorite part, seeing them together and working as a team.
We've been talking with Kathryn Gleason, the head softball coach at NIU. Coach Gleason, thanks so much for the time. Good luck with the rest of fall season. We're looking forward to seeing the team again in the spring.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Go Huskies.
Well, it's been great talking NIU football and softball with Thomas Hammock and Kathryn Gleason on today's show. Hopefully you enjoyed those interviews with two members of the NIU Huskies coaching community. Before we wrap things up today, I do want to make sure to give you a full schedule of what's coming up this weekend because it's going to be a jam-packed weekend. Already the last weekend of September, amazingly, and pretty much everybody's playing. Volleyball is at home for a couple this weekend against teams from Michigan. Thursday, they are hosting Central Michigan. Friday, hosting Eastern Michigan. Both of those are 6 o'clock start times right here in DeKalb. Thursday night, you're going to have a toss-up on your hands because women's soccer is at home as well against Akron. So you'll have a tough decision as to which game to go to, but both volleyball and women's soccer are home this weekend. Men's soccer is on the road in Des Moines, Iowa to take on Drake on Saturday night. Saturday afternoon, the big football game against San Diego State. First home game for the Huskies in 4 weeks. That one will be a lot of fun. And then as the weekend continues, men's golf is out in Benton Harbor, Michigan, starting on Sunday, and women's golf is in Iowa City, Iowa, starting on Monday. Finally, One last thing I want to mention: on Sunday, women's soccer is out in Massachusetts to take on UMass, and softball. We just talked to the coach, Kathryn Gleason. Softball is taking on Parkland College and also Northwestern this Sunday in DeKalb. So there's a lot to get out there, a lot going on at NIU and around the country featuring NIU teams this weekend. It's time to wrap things up here on NIU Weekly. So as always, a big thank you to Kevin Meyer, who puts this show together behind the scenes each week. Thank you to the members of the Office of Strategic Communications, Jeremy Reed, Mike Huskie, and Linnea Kangas, all pitched in to help put this show together this week. So big thank you to all three of them. Before I say goodbye, I want to remind you to subscribe to the NIU YouTube channel, where you can find highlights, press conferences, NIU Weekly, of course, and a whole lot more. So make sure you're a subscriber to the NIU YouTube channel, following the Huskies on social media as well. And one last reminder to get your tickets for this Saturday's football game against San Diego State at niuhuskies.com/tickets. If you're not able to make it out to the game, it'll be broadcast on ESPN Plus and, of course, on the radio, 94.9 WDKB, with Andy Garcia and Mark Lindo on the call. I'll be on there with them, patrolling the sidelines. So hopefully you're there with us. That's going to do it for another edition of NIU Weekly. Big thank you to you for tuning in. One last thanks as well to our guests on today's show, Thomas Hammock and Kathryn Gleason. Until next time, Terry Bonadonna saying, go Huskies.